gonna go live in 3, 2, 1, go! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. I accidentally hit the click with my hand, but it's fine. Everybody's here. It's good. We're back with episode 14 of Playthings of the Gods, our D&D 16th level campaign. I'm excited to get into it, but before we do, let's go around and have everybody say who they're playing tonight, starting, of course, with Tanya.
Hello, you can find me at Roll on the internet, but tonight I am Moxie, Tiefling Bard.
I think I'm next. Hello, everyone. I'm Val. You can find me at the Kraken's Crown, mostly over on game nights, a couple days a week running games. Tonight we're playing Arrow, say Water Genasi Barbarian Druid.
And I'm Van. You can find me on the internets at Van but Wilder, wherever you can find people on the internets, here on Sundays, over on game nights, several other days out of the week. And tonight I am playing Alhena, who is a Circle of the Stars druid.
I'm next. Hi, I'm Rachel. Rachel Elizabeth. Rachel Elizabeth with a Z instead of an S. Tonight I am playing Talon, and we're in her hometown. This is our Bachelorette episode where we bring the potential suitor to hometowns. If anybody watched that, I'm just kidding. And I'm playing Talon, the Gloomstalker Ranger / Death Cleric.
And I am Alex, OMG at some guy on the internets. I am playing Colchis, our Minotaur Oath of the Ancients Paladin.
And I'm LB Hackemup. I'm going to be your dungeon mistress for this evening. This will be the last stream where you guys will see me in this room. I am moving next week, so please excuse the moving pains and all of the things I'll be trying to figure out for next week. This stream, I'm sure the layout will change a lot, but if you are new, thank you for watching. If you are watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment and hit that like button, I guess. There's some random videos of this show that get a bunch of views, so hi, we love to see you. We're happy to have you here. I want to know what you think. I like that stuff. So, but before we get into the game proper, let's go and have Rachel give us our recap. Take it away.
Previously on Playthings of the Gods. As Shamba appeared on the deck of the ship, missing an arm and bleeding, everyone surged forward to help. Alhena healed him, a new arm growing back from the shoulder where it had been torn off, and he slowly started to regain consciousness. Meanwhile, whispering from the staff they held, sent Arrow into a series of visions of possible futures. Melting flesh, a horde of zombies, a huge tree withering, Arrow and Avery kissing, an orb of golden light floating in the air opposite an orb of pure darkness, with a crystal between them and Arrow holding the staff as the crystal cracked and shattered. A golden statue of Timor with people worshiping it before it. Their mother's fields wilting, and then a sunrise over the ocean. When Shamba came to, he explained that he had tracked Nazira, and she did something to shield herself when he attacked, but not before he felt the tangible connection between the beings within her and tried to destroy it, her magic creeping up his arm as he teleported to their ship, severing it as he left. Aaron went to get him a snack, and Moxie went after them because she noticed they were obviously shaken up by something. They confessed they'd had some visions and that they'd share them with the group later. With Shamba healed and the group not sure what their next step would entail, they decided to spend the day at a bathhouse. War be damned, if these were going to be some of their last days on this plane, they would find door where they could. Moxie, Kulkus, Talon, and Alhena got luxurious rooms at the spa in Port Pondon. Alhena and Talon ordered room service, setting up what was sure to be a very romantic evening, and promptly passed out. The next morning, Talon was feeling very un-elf-like and contemplating mortality, and confessed to Alhena that if this was going to be the end, she wanted them to get married, like right now. Alhena talked her down a bit, noting that their friends would be very upset to not be invited, and that while she understood the urgency, it could be soon, but it didn't need to be right this second. Arrow, exhausted and head swimming with visions of the future, fell asleep at the bottom of the large spa pool. When they woke up in the morning, they got their bearings and did some potion shopping for whatever was next, then set to work in the kitchen. When everyone met back on the ship, Arrow was frantically cooking everyone's favorite dishes. When they sat down to eat, they discussed the visions, and the tree struck a chord with Talon. Grandfather Tree, an Aracor, was in the forest near her home, huge and revered by those who lived in the high forest. She explained that some of the tree's protections and how they wouldn't be able to teleport within a mile of it, but if it was in danger and the visions of it withering was connected to whatever the nearby cultists were doing, they could help, or they should help, as much as she didn't want to go home. And when we last left our adventurers, they had teleported across Faerun to what they thought was going to be at least a mile from Grandfather Tree, only to find themselves far closer than that. Before them was a tree bigger than they'd seen before, but it was sick. They could see the leaves on the western side of the tree weren't as lush and healthy as the eastern side, and something that direction was obviously affecting it. And as they were looking out at this, they heard shouts from below and a thunk on the side of the ship as someone with a mechanical leg climbed on board. The boarder told them to leave the sacred ground immediately, but Alhena said they were there to help and that they had one of their people with them. Talon pulled her hood back and addressed Threadbare, telling him they knew what was happening to the tree and why.
Yes, so we're going to come back mid-conversation as Threadbare, this high elf who, it seems, you can see there are, like, what looks to be electrical scars going down his neck, and he is dressed in guard gear. He had an arrow notched, and he looks towards you, Talon, when you mentioned that, when you nodded towards the grandfather tree. And he says, "How do you know about that?"
It's going to be really hard to explain, and I'd rather not have to tell the story 45 times.
You know they're not just going to let you right back in, right?
Oh, I'm aware.
I can get a council member to try and give you access, but I can't guarantee anything.
Just try not to make it him.
We are all about truth and knowledge and nature. I don't think that your father would be the most unbiased in this regard.
Well, at least on that we agreed.
I can show you where you can land this interesting ship. But you can't enter until you get approval.
Okay.
He nods and goes to the captain of the ship, giving you a wide berth. He was not one of the guards that followed you into the woods, but he was a guard. So I'm sure he's heard the story. And as he tells Avery where to land, the ship moves across the tree line and finds an opening. It's closer to your village, city, but it'll take a little while to walk there. He will say, if you'd like, I can bring him here. Otherwise, I can only take you, Talon, to the brink of the city. Your companions are going to have to remain here until we get approval.
Kind of looks at her friends like, don't make me do this alone.
Would you allow one of us to accompany her?
Unfortunately, it's against our rules to allow anybody in without approval.
Well, it's against our rules to let our friends go into dangerous situations alone.
Don't. He kind of looks at Talon and like looks back to you, Alhena, and says, I don't think that we should be the ones you're worried about. But I can bring the elder here if that is your wish.
I think everyone would be more comfortable with that.
All right.
So, would it need to be an insight check, or is it easy enough to tell that his, like, I don't think, was he saying that we should be concerned associating with Talon? Or
Yeah. Talon did mention last episode that, what exactly did you say? That you would be...
wouldn't be welcome back with open arms. I
somebody
explained...
asked, what do you mean? You went, like, by law? What would I be?
Yeah, there was an incident when Talon was younger. We now know that it was because of her connection to the Blood Queen, but at the time we had no idea. And she almost killed her father, who they had a very tumultuous relationship and he hated her. So, there was a lot of lead up to this incident. And then she, horrified by what she'd almost done, left. But a bunch of guards chased her into the woods and she blacked out. We now know that it was the Blood Queen that took her over. And then there was no one else chasing her. And then she just said, okay, we're gonna leave that behind, and then went out and continued on with her life. She's like, so she figured she wouldn't be welcome back with open arms here, given how she had left.
Yeah. I think Colchis is just gonna step forward and like hand on Talon's shoulder, kind of not like moving her back, but more stepping forward to be like, if you're gonna be mean to our friend, you have to go through the rest of us. But just like, I don't know exactly how long it's been since Talon was last here, but she has been nothing but a hero in the time that I've known her, despite her perhaps reluctance to take on that title.
Okay. He doesn't say that. I say that. Hero. I mean, yes, but also the murder is kind of. Anyways,
Focus isn't bad.
That's true.
No one but
yeah.
Alina knows that.
He gives a nod to you, Colchis, and disembarks the ship. The ship is hovering about 10 feet off the ground, and he kind of just shoots an arrow off into a tree and runs off, swinging on that. It'll take him about probably 20 minutes.
Hold on, I need the logistics of this again. He swings on the arrow?
I'm assuming he like shoots an arrow that's got a rope tied to it.
Okay,
I thought at
That's
first
how
we
he
were just
got
like
on their ship.
and just like shooting an arrow and running
no.
off.
Shot an arrow and grabbed onto it and flew. That's actually a really fun image.
No. This is what he does. I like this better. He shoots an arrow and swaps places with the arrow and teleports down basically to. That's a cool move.
An arrow clatters on the deck and
there was
puts it in the quiver.
There was a moment where you described it where I thought he had just shot an arrow and then got off the ship.
Yeah, like
completely disconnected
two
from
separate
each other.
things.
Yeah. I was like, what are
two
you
very
shooting
different
at?
acts.
Or maybe we're shooting the arrow to like, signal someone else, but just like
like time to attack. No.
Sorry, not critiquing. It just had a funny image in my mind.
Yeah.
I think we all interpreted that differently.
That's fair.
And that's great.
Fair. Yeah, so he's gonna be gone for about 20 minutes if you guys want to have a conversation or anything. If not, I can just have him come back. Up to you.
So did any of you have any experience as an attorney? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
No, but I have a little bit of
law.
I have a little bit of experience of showing back up to see my family after a while and being awkward.
It's been 16 years ish, give or take.
You imagine he's still holding a grudge?
He's God, I don't know how old he is now. 500 and something. So I've never known him to let go of a grudge.
Not sure if that makes more sense for nigh immortal species or if that just makes them extra petty to hold on a grudge when you live that long.
Something you should know about my village is I don't want to call them elitists. That sounds terrible, but their main goal is protecting knowledge and nature. And if you are not invested in doing one or the other, they don't really have time or patience for you. So like, travelers would come through lost and they, kind of just send them on their way as opposed to being helpful kind of a situation. Like I don't really know how to explain it. It's not that like no one else is welcome there.
Is that why you love books so much?
Yeah, it's just kind of kind of an everyone hobby. The library there is, rivals Candlekeep for the amount of knowledge, and a small village in, the middle of high forest.
Sounds pretty cool. I just don't want him to kill us, but we'll see. We'll figure it out.
I doubt you'll be guilty by association. They're more civilized than that. So if anything happens, hopefully it just happens to me and we can deal with it. But the bottom line is we know why this is happening to an incredibly sacred being in this forest. So if all else, they can tolerate me and us for the time being, and then we can go our separate ways while we fix the problem. And then they don't want to, they never have to see me again. I have a life.
I mean, we are here to protect nature in a very direct way. So,
That's why I think they'll be willing to hear us out.
Here's the thing. They don't have to like you. They don't have to like any of us. They just have to believe us enough to help.
Who can we expect to see?
Well, hopefully they don't send my dad. I'm hoping it's one of the other elders, but I'm not even sure who that is anymore since it's been a while since I've been here.
If we see your dad, are you going to tell him about Elhana? Is that a
My-
secret?
It's not a secret, but my dad lost the privilege of being privy to my life
Fair enough.
basically the second I was born. So
Heard.
well, I'll just stand very imposingly behind you while you do the talking.
that doesn't seem like the best plan since we know how great I am at talking, but I'll try.
You're a lot better than you think.
We'll back you up.
Yeah.
Arrow just knocks out some push-ups before just to bulk a little
Make
bit.
sure they look like nice and veiny.
Yeah.
What is your persuasion, Talon?
Let me check. +2. So maybe someone else should do the talking and I will
It's-
back up.
Better than mine.
I don't know what I was thinking when I picked my skills, but I I only have a
Oh.
5 in persuasion because I'm
That's
not
not
proficient
bad.
in it. Which
That's
means
not
from
bad.
having a 20 in charisma.
Fair.
Look, it's not my jam.
After about 20 minutes, like I said, you guys hear hooves coming as 4 horses ride up. You see Talon, a darker skinned, tall elf with curly hair that kind of is tucked behind his large ears. You know this is Elisar, one of
Helen
the
breathes
elders.
like a sigh of relief. Everybody just hears like this audible like
Threadbare returns with 2 other guards, and Elisar dismounts. You guys would like to get off the ship to greet them. He walks forward and places his hand on his chest and gives a small bow and says, Talon Rarendeer, it has been many years. We didn't expect to see you back.
well, to be honest, I had no intention of coming back.
I've been told that you have information for us, but I want to make sure you know coming back here is you're going to have to answer for the things that were done.
I wouldn't have come to help if I wasn't ready to face the consequences.
I'll have to gather the elders and you will have a trial. You intend to bring your friends as well?
Yes.
How many should we expect?
I'm not going to assume that the shipmates are going to come with, so just the 4.
All right. Do you have... I assume you'll be walking. Please. And he motions as the guards look over everybody. You can tell that they are all elves. Talon, you recognize one of them as just a normal guard. There are a couple that you don't recognize. They seem to be new to you, and they start walking and escorting you. There are two behind you as you begin, and you'll be next to the elder as Elisar is up on his horse. Threadbearer is ahead, scouting, and he is very stoic. You guys can tell that he doesn't mince words. He's very wise, but he does seem to be not passing any judgment, I guess. Not yet. He will speak to you, Talon, and you've been gone for quite some time. I guess not long for us. What have you been up to?
Like I told Threadbare, it would be easier to just tell the story once
That is understandable.
than recount it 45 times while I'm here.
Well, when we get back to town, I'll call the council. You will be escorted to the meeting room, and we will discuss what happened when you left, and he will pass judgment on you.
Okay.
An awkward silence as they continue on. It takes about 10 minutes for you guys to, probably 15 minutes to walk to the town. And as the trees...
Sorry, actually, I think in response to that, Colchis would kind of ask, like, what is the possible range of consequences, for the justice system here? I mean, is Talon going to be executed in the worst case, or?
Well, that depends on the judgment, but could be anything from... the crimes are pretty serious. Jail. If the most is asked, then yes, an execution might need to be happened.
Under what authority would an execution be appropriate, given that Talon is no longer a citizen of this city?
Well, when the offense occurred, she was. And she is returning, so...
Okay. So we'll have to work out some sort of extradition agreement, given that she is no longer is now currently a resident of the Sword Coast. I don't know actually where Talon is. Where's Talon live
Daggerford.
now?
That's where Talon and Elena bought a
is
house
now
outside of Daggerford.
now a citizen of Daggerford. So
Well, there will be, if that is the case, there will be room for appeal, and if there is a representative from Daggerford who could come and speak with us, there is a process for that as well. We will not execute her on site. There is a process.
And will this be a judiciary hearing, or merely, or will there be a jury chosen? And will we have any selection rights to that said jury?
There is a council that you will be answering to.
Understood.
Talon just looks back at Arrow like...
I read a lot of legal dramas.
Well, I don't. I watch them on TV, so watch yourself, Val.
I did not go to
Someone
3
went to
years of
law
law
school.
school not to use it in completely irrelevant and unimportant matters.
in fancy fantasy ways.
Erroneous. I object. Anyways,
The limit does not exist. Sorry. That's math.
Different movie. All right. Okay. Yeah, you guys, the tree line kind of breaks open a little bit, and you see before you a few little small huts on the ground, these very elaborate houses that have that are mixed in with nature. They seem to be very strategically placed in that they have not upset any of the natural elements to this area, and you can see that there are the trees that are around here are really thick. They're quite large, especially for this forest in general. And you've noticed as you've continued into the grove, it seems to be that the trees, as you get closer to Grandfather Tree, get quite large. You are not, you cannot see Grandfather Tree from here. It is close to this village, but not within it. And as you move past these houses, there are a lot of elves that come out of their housing, are milling about, reading. There's a lot of little spots, stoneworking and woodworking, that have benches and gardens, and the trees start to have spiral staircases going up them, and you can see that there are housing and buildings within the trees themselves. And Talon, as you get further into town, you can start to see the lights, and it looks like stars coming through the tops of these trees as you come towards the Grand Library, which is all connected by different bridges and doorways. The trees themselves are almost covered in these buildings, and the branches go through the walls and out. They have not blocked any of the natural growth, but they seem to be incorporated within it. The library itself goes across 20 different trees, as these buildings are not only wide but tall, going up the whole trunk of the tree. And Talon, that all of the knowledge that is held here is held within these buildings that amass on these trees. And you are brought forward into the center of this town, and there are a lot of people milling about. There are a lot of there are not many children here, very few, in fact. Elves living a long time, it is very rare to see children, but there are a few running around. There are many elves sort of just being outside and being a part of things. The community here is very tight and friendly to each other. And as you walk in, they do give you a berth, as they are concerned and confused. They see that you are being escorted by guards and kind of just push out of the way as you get in. Elisar will tell you that they will take you to the council room, which is within the library itself. He reminds you, make sure you're on your best behavior if you want fair trial. It will be a fair trial, but you want to make sure that, and he's giving you advice from a place of kindness, not a place of being an asshole. And he says, you want to give a good impression, because they are going to be we are going to be deciding what to do with you. So if you want time to speak to your friends and your council, you'll have it in there, but I'll try to gather everybody as quickly as possible.
We'll be ready when you get back.
He nods to the guards, and Threadbare will take you forward into the library. And as you guys enter in, you see the hallway does go around and up and spiral. It seems that the floors itself, while they are very wide, they have books lining all of the walls, and it is a sight to behold. The lights are magical in nature. There's no fire in here, and they seem to be just covered in scrolls and books and little pictures that have notes upon them. As you move up this staircase, you come to a larger area that seems to be almost pedestals that connect 3 different trees, and in between them is an enclosed chamber that has stacks of books lining all the walls. There's just random stacks. There are tables, and there are seats on the center of it. There are 5 seats up towards the top, one which is higher than the other, and it seems to be, it's not set up as a trial room, but the guards move in and they start to take one of the tables and place it in the center facing the council chairs, and they motion for you to sit and close the doors behind you.
Well, I'm not gonna
what-
sit yet.
What can we do?
I don't think there's really anything for us to do. I mean, I knew this was a possibility when we came back here. I figured that they wouldn't just, hear us out immediately without doing this first. So I'm sorry that you guys are being dragged into this, but it is an unfortunate condition in which I left. And I think the only thing we can do is just explain our story and hope they believe us about our, being champions of the gods and that we have a greater purpose for being here. And at the end of the day, their interest in grandfather tree aligns with our interest in saving the plane. And
It kind of seems like they're less interested in that and more interested in what might have happened in the past.
Yeah, we
It's
gotta get
you.
past this.
Are they even going to let us try to help with grandfather tree before resolving this unfinished business?
probably not before we resolve the unfinished business.
Well, I
Remember,
do have Zone of
it's
Truth prepared.
it's elves we're dealing with. They think that we have nothing but time.
Well,
You're going to have to convince them otherwise.
first thing, don't admit to anything. It's their burden of proof to show that you were the one for any alleged misdoings, crimes that might have been committed. So,
I gotta
don't
start
say
reading more
anything.
books.
Don't admit anything.
I mean, to be fair, I was not in control.
Good. So we can use that's our defense.
You think you might be able to call upon the Blood Queen to make an appearance?
I don't know if she would just straight up show up here. But yeah, I'll let her know what's happening.
We can add
And-
her to our list of potential witnesses. We'll have to exchange that with the prosecution. Anyone they're planning on calling on. So
Arrow just like grabs a notebook out of nowhere and just starts like writing things down. Exhibit A.
it pulls out a legal pad, a yellow paper legal pad. No idea where they got it from. Didn't even know they had it. They just start writing on it.
The fountain pen.
Dips it.
We're all kind of like, you guys know Arrow could read?
Yeah. Look, I'm
I'm
kinda
just rolling
proud.
with it at this point.
You have to know how to read recipes.
It's all pictures. They're just drawing.
Arrow's never followed a recipe in their life.
Well, how much baking does Arrow do, or does Arrow only cook?
Arrow can bake. Yeah.
So
So
there you go. You need a
yeah.
recipe for
You have
that.
to read.
It's all chemistry. It's all chemistry, baby.
It's all
It's
science,
chemistry,
baby.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Talon will send off like just a mental just a quick message to the Blood Queen, just
Mhm.
being like came home to solve the cult problem.
Yeah.
Now I'm on trial.
Mhm.
We're about to be on trial.
Yeah.
It'll be
Moxie's
a
quietly
great
playing her
time to
pan flute
show up.
to try to calm things down.
I
Relax
mean,
us off.
your girl does have divine intervention now. Thank
Yeah.
you. Level up.
Level up. Level up.
Level up. Level up. Ow.
It's about an hour before anything happens. There are still the guards in the room with you, as you are meant to wait for a bit. After about that time, the door cracks open and someone slips in, speaks with one of the guards, and then slips back out. The guard, a tall, pale elf with long flowing hair, steps forward, and she motions for you guys to take your place at the desk that is in front of the council. And as you stand before the council seats, the doors behind you open. The guards move in so that they are flanking you. They're keeping a close eye on you while giving you a little bit of space. But some people from the village flow in. There are some people that you recognize, Talon, village, not elders, but people who've been there for quite some time who know you. There are people who you aren't quite familiar with, and some faces that look a little bit older, some quote-unquote kids who have grown up a little bit, probably like nobody your age, but a little bit younger than you, perhaps. And as they stand in these chairs that are around the room, the doors behind the table or the chairs before you open, and you see the gentleman that was talking to you before, Elisar, walks in. There is a female elf that walks in. She's a little bit shorter, especially for an elf, very pale. She is wearing a tight-fitted outfit that seems close to the skin. Their wrists almost look like they're cutting off circulation. She just has glasses on the end of her nose and very short white hair and I would say medium-sized ears, especially for the ears that you guys have been seeing here. And then a figure that you recognize very clearly, long white hair, purple eyes, in a blackened robe, steps forward. This is Volman, the father of Talon, who takes a seat to the right of the main chair. There is another elf that walks in. They have sort of like almost a, not quite Shatter Kai pale, but a grayish tone to their skin. And it is another female elf with pointed ears that droop a little bit at the end, giving them a little bit of, I guess, flavor to the difference from the others. She is wearing almost, I would say, gauche outfit. It is not naturally colored. It is a light lavender, and it has some flower embroidery on it. She seems a little bit younger than the others, and Talon, you do not recognize her specifically from your time here. She could have lived here, but not someone that you've interacted with very much. And she sits on the far end, and then entering last is a female elf with sort of a copper golden skin, very, very long ears, and she is, you can tell her face is very strict. I picture her as the, if you've seen the Silent Hill movie, the head priest from that. She's very gaunt, older, with like a little bit of sag to her face, showing her age, meaning that she is a very, very old elf. She is carrying a book, and she places it on the pedestal before her. They all stand for a moment, nod to you, and all of them sit except for Volman, who does not make eye contact with you, Talon, but
she's boring holes into him with her eyes.
He addresses the room, saying, "Thank you all for coming. We are here to bear witness to the trial of Talon of the Woods for attacking an elder and bringing 5 guards to death's door. How do you plead?"
Not guilty.
"Then we shall begin." He takes a seat. The head elder, Syndra, sits forward in her chair slightly, takes her glasses and pushes them up her nose, looks at papers in front of her, and says, "For those of you who are new to our society," she motions to the rest of you, "this trial will take place in 2 parts. We will hear the testimony of the witnesses, and then we will take word from the accused, after which we will make our judgment. Any questions about the proceedings?"
I'm gonna lean over to Talon and ask, is that guy? Is that your dad?
Yep.
I don't imagine he's gonna vouch for you.
Absolutely not.
All right. Two questions, Your Honor. If I
Yes.
may address the court.
Who are you?
My name is Arrow.
Arrow?
I will be co-counsel for the defense here today.
Okay. Do you have a witness statement?
No, merely questions on the judicial proceedings that are to follow here today. Will this be a preliminary hearing, as we have had no time for discovery, and no list of witnesses has been provided to us so that we may prepare our defense, merely to understand the nature of the proceedings as you have described.
My apologies to your ill preparedness for this trial, but no, there is no discovery. You should have been prepped before you arrived, and we will proceed as our council and our village always has.
The defense was only made aware of this trial here mere minutes ago. Was there a subpoena issued? We haven't been in receipt of one. If we could receive a copy of the docket or any sort of evidence that my client has been served for this hearing.
Arrow, how long have you known the defense?
That's irrelevant to today's proceedings.
It is relevant to me.
In what way?
Talon of the forest knows our ways. If you were not prepared by her, then it is not our fault. We will proceed as we always have. If you do not wish to contribute, you can wait outside.
Talon just puts a hand on Arrow's forearm.
I'd merely like my objection to be marked for further appeal. Secondary, the defense motions for the that council member, what's your dad's name?
Volman
has a undue prejudice to these proceedings given his relationship with my client, and should be removed from this trial.
I will remind this court and this council that our ways are of truth and knowledge. Whether they have any relation to the person on trial has no significance to it. They will judge fairly, as they always have, being an elder of this village for the last 150 years. Any more questions?
Too many at this point, I think.
Talon just squeezes their forearm, like, just stop. Whatever happens is just gonna happen.
Your people are idiots. This isn't a trial. I will not sit. You're not going to sit here for this kangaroo court and let it proceed.
It's fine.
If they want the truth, we'll tell them the truth. And if they refuse to accept that, they'll deal with the consequences of not doing things how they've always been done.
I'd really just love to read your people's constitution at this point.
There's no way they have one of those.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Probably
rules.
just
There are a lot of
tradition.
rules to this.
There's a lot of rules.
There's a bunch of singing elves in trees just pretending like they have laws. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
A big
First-
book just like clunks down in front of Arrow that's like this thick. That's just like full of the rules of the forest.
It's a bunch
Yeah,
of
but
stone
the rules are
tablets.
going to be like, and
It
when
just
the
appears out of nowhere and
mockingjay
just thumps right in
chimes on
front
the
of them.
third winter, thus hath we declared, and
Oh no, the only rule is I've been here the longest, so I get to tell
Yeah.
you what to do.
yeah, there's no evidence based. No, okay, we're done. Okay. Arrow frustratedly begins to write down, just preparing opening remarks at this point.
The person to the very, very pale elf, is going to read a paper in front of them and says, "The first witness, Guard Jandar, or sorry, Guard Sendin, please come forward to recount your tale of the events that happened 16 years ago in the spring." A elf on the side comes forward. Talon, you recognize this as one of the elves that was chasing you through the forest. You can see that they have a very large scar on their face going down their neck. And they stand before the court. They face the council. And they say, "On the afternoon in the spring, 16 years ago," they give a date. I'm not going to give a date. They give a date. "We were chasing Talon through the forest after the attack on Council Bowman. We approached in the woods, and she seemed to be having some sort of fit. When she turned to us, she had blood coming from her eyes, and she began to attack. We fought valiantly, though she was able to overpower the 5 of us in the wood. I thought I had died. When I awoke, she stood over me. Her eyes seemed unfocused, and when she spoke to me, I felt it in my core as she told me to run and never return, and that I was no longer her problem. I gathered my companions, healing as I could, and she moved off. Thank you." She motions for the guard to take a seat.
Lean over, Talon. Do we not cross-examine them, or is that not how this works?
To be honest, I thought I killed him, so this is
Don't
news
say that to me. I don't need to know that.
For sure thought he was dead.
Yeah,
so-
no, don't say that. You shouldn't even, please.
She's just like kind of like surprised, like, "Oh shit!"
Oh, hey!
Oh,
Yeah, that
you're not
scar's new.
dead.
That scar is new, for sure, for you.
Yeah.
Syndra looks to the other elves that have gathered next to Selvin and says, "Does this account coordinate with everyone, or would anyone else like to add anything to this witness statement?" They kind of shake their heads and motion that this is the series of events that happened. One of them stands, again, Talon, that you recognize as this is one of the people that was chasing you, and they say, "The only thing I would like to add is that I was not conscious when Talon moved off. I awoke to Saven healing me. I did not witness the words that were spoken." And then he sits down and Syndra nods. "Thank you." The next witness is Volman Reindeer. "Please." She motions to him. He stands and just stays kind of behind his pedestal, and he says, "On the morning of this day in spring, 16 years ago, I was in my chambers with Talon of the Wood. She and I were having a disagreement when her temper..."
Objection, relevance.
Syndra looks to you, and her eyes seem to have a little bit of fire behind them, and she says, "We do not interrupt the witnesses. If you do not keep your peace, you will be removed from this room."
I merely wish the court to mark my ejection then.
Edo, I understand what you're trying to do, but let's not make this any more adversarial than it already is.
Just trying to help. All right.
You're just going to make them angry.
Volman continues. Her anger boiled over, and she grabbed a knife from the wardrobe and held it to my throat. I am convinced that if she had not regained her faculties slightly, she would have killed me. Given this, I have every inclination that she would, in the future, go further. When she left, I went to the guards, and they chased after her. And he sits down. Thank you. The head of the council, the Grand Elder, turns to you, Talon, and says, Talon of the Woods, you have your story to tell. The floor is yours.
Well, I'm considered a witness in this. uh, Talon steps forward from like behind the seat. Like she doesn't want to be sitting as she tells the story. And she says, we could start at the beginning of how you hated me since I was born, saying that I killed my mother, the love of your life. But we won't. We'll skip to 16 years ago. And on that day, I heard a voice I'd been hearing since I was born, a voice that was more nurturing to me than you've ever been, a voice that made me the person I am today and gave me the power that I now wield. And that voice wanted you dead. And I told her no. So I left. And you could have just let me go. But you hated me so much that you sent them after me. But in doing that, you made her mad. You could have let me leave. You could have never thought about me again. But you sent them after me. And it wasn't me that hurt them. It was her. I, along with my friends, are champions of the gods. The God that has been speaking to me since the day I was born, who was more nurturing to me than a father, is the Blood Queen. And it's by her grace that you're still alive. It is by the grace of all of our gods that we can save your tree. And that's why I came back. Otherwise, you would have never seen me again. Because I want nothing from you. I want nothing from any of you. But we've been tasked to help. And so here we are, Father, elders.
As you speak, they and mention the Blood Queen. You see a couple of them kind of speak to each other. And Elisar speaks up and says, you say you were overtaken by a god. And that is why you attacked. Do you have any proof of this?
I wear her mark, but I don't know how to prove that I survived being possessed by a god, other than I'm still standing.
Are we allowed witnesses?
Do you have witnesses you would like to bring forward?
Myself and Moxie have both witnessed the power of the Blood Queen in direct relation to Talon. We will vouch for this being true.
Please make your statement.
Five of us, amongst others out there, that I think, given the severity of the situation, could be brought in to also vouch, are under the influence and fighting for the gods. There is a war on. The goddess Valrea chose me, Lyra, Calcus, and many others, and the Blood Queen chose Talon. We have seen this play out. We have seen her manifest her powers. We have seen her rituals. What she says is the truth. Not only is she chosen, she's spent the last several years doing nothing but fighting for our world and saving people's lives. And yet you waste our time here today with a 16-year-old grudge in which a father abandoned his child, knowing that she was in distress, knowing that she needed him. All of your witnesses today have said she was not herself, that this was not Talon, that blood was coming from her eyes, that she was unfocused, that they knew it wasn't her. That when a father saw his daughter in pain and in crisis, not only did he send her away, he immediately sought vengeance. Because he hates her for something she can't control. Now put me under whatever magic you wish, whatever truth, spell, or serum you have, and you'll know what I say is real. And if I must face some consequences from your people for speaking out in your court, so be it. Talon is worth that to me.
Your statement is noted. Talon, is there anything else you would like to say in your defense? Any other proof that on this day, when you attacked the elder and attempted to kill the guards, you were in fact possessed by a god?
Again, I'm not sure how you want me to prove that I was possessed by a god.
If that is
So
all,
no,
then
but
we will.
Father, you should know that, and she's looking directly at Volbin now.
Mm-hmm.
You should know that when the Blood Queen called me to her, I saw Mama, and she was beautiful. And she's safe with my God. And she told me I had a brother. How else would I know that?
The crowd kind of shifts a little bit, like, you see when you mention your mother, his jaw clenches. He does not speak out of turn in the courtroom. but Talon, you feel a little tickle in the back of your mind. And you hear the voice that has been haunting you. Well, not so much anymore, but had haunted you for a while. And says, as the Blood Queen speaks in your mind, she says, "You would like me to show them? I can show them."
Talon just walks to the center of the room and takes a deep breath and like cracks her neck and lets Tifa in.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Guys...
Moxie and I have seen this once before. Uh-oh.
You see the guards sort of tighten up on their bows as you move forward in the room. The head elder puts a hand up as you kind of take a moment. Your father rolls his eyes as he believes that you are about to put on a show. And as the room quiets, the lights dim slightly as Talon, you can feel the blood begin to run from your eyes again, and you can sort of blurrily see the room. The rest of you feel this tightness in your chest as things begin to shake around you, and behind Talon, a dark shadow emerges. You can see on the floor around this curtain of darkness a drizzle of blood that is coming from the cloak. For those in front of Talon, they can see the red eyes of this figure that stands filling this room, about 10 feet tall. The golden hair is really the only thing that's visible to you guys, but the red eyes of the Blood Queen do look upon the council, and Talon, you can feel your arm burning as the blade lights up. And she begins to speak through you. And with every word, it is making this room shake more.
You never chose to see death, Volman. You think you are above it, but Soliana respected death and knew it was a part of life. She was one of the first voices I heard as a god. And when she came to me, I blessed her child, the child that was no more part of her undoing than you were. Talon has proven herself to me and is my champion, so you will show her the respect that she deserves. Or when death comes for you, I will be there.
The room quiets as you can see the council members have sit back in their chair, staring at this and feeling what is happening. Talon, your dad, is looking like his eyes are locked on the Blood Queen, and there is a bead of sweat that has moved down his head, and you can see out of the corner of his eye just a little tear of blood, as this is directed towards him, this ire of the god. And the room is quiet besides this like humming from the presence of the Blood Queen, and the essence begins to shake and retreat back into Talon. The blood on the floor remains. Talon, the blood on your face remains, but your vision comes back as the lights come back up in this room. Everyone is quiet, except for one child that is in this room, a teenager. I mean, they look to be like a human 12-year-old that's just kind of like sniffling off somewhere. But the council is quiet, and they take a second to collect themselves, your father wiping away his face like shyly. The head elder looks to you and looks to the others. All statements have been given, and we will now converse and give our ruling. Please take your seat. and the five of them stand up. You see LSR as they are filing out, like looks at you and goes, you see a little thumbs up as the council members leave the room. The people in the that are witnessing this are just muttering to each other, trying to figure out what the fuck just. I mean, they know what happened, but they are just conversing amongst each other about this as the council members have exited.
Arrow looks around confused, missed the entire thing because was too busy writing their closing remarks for the end of the trial.
Talon in her head just sends it's a perfect time to make an appearance. Thank you. Just sits down in the chair.
You get a nice warm feeling on your arm.
Convincing.
I mean, again, I don't know how else to prove that I was possessed by a god than to.
I think that might have done it.
I
At
mean,
least in the people's court.
If that's the defense we're going with here, I think she probably did the trick. But I don't think, regardless of what everyone else says, I don't think my father is going to vote in my favor. So hopefully we at least get a couple others on our side.
Well, then we will catch them in the original lie they told, which was that he could be unbiased in this situation.
Do they require unanimous decision for the judgment?
No,
So
majority.
he can hate you all you want as long as the others are convinced.
Again, at the end of the day, we're just here to help. What's going on here? This was honestly just a distraction because they have no concept of time.
Now, whether they like it or not, that concept is about to kick them in the ass here shortly.
Well, thank you all for your faith in me. I left this place a much different person than I am now. And a lot of that is to do with you. Kind of like looks to everybody very pointedly.
Remember to give yourself some credit too.
Oh, if I'd been left to my own devices, things would have probably gone very
That's why
differently.
I said not all the credit.
Just like
Change comes from within.
The council takes a little bit of time. You can see that some of the members of the audience have picked up books. They're having low conversations. But Talon, you feel a little tingle in your head. A little, not like you did with the Blood Queen, where she kind of creeps up behind you. This is like almost like a message that is being sent to you. And you hear a voice that just says, "Are you really the son of, or the daughter of council member Coleman?"
As much as I don't want to claim him, yes.
But that would make you my sister?
If you are also his child, yeah. That's what that would make me.
You didn't tell me about a sister.
He didn't tell me about you either.
Did you really try to kill those people?
It wasn't me. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't, or I wouldn't have defended myself.
I think that's fair. I mean, you attack a bear, it's gonna attack you back, right?
Yeah. It's the way of the woods.
And the voice goes quiet. About an hour passes.
I'll just sit in here getting antsy.
Yeah.
The legal pad is just covered in
The
tic-tac-toe
legal
games.
now at this
They-
point we're playing tic-tac-toe on the legal pad, like 7 pages deep.
They did
underneath
bring
Arrow's
you-
opening or closing remarks.
They did bring you a charcuterie board and wine as you've been waiting. They are, if not begrudgingly polite.
Polite's a strong word.
It's like they're very English, where you come into their house and like, do you want tea?
I guess I have to make you tea.
Yeah, I guess we're making tea now. But yes, they do provide you with that. But after about an hour, the council doors open and everyone stands again as the 5 members return back to their seats, and the Grand Elder, Syndra, remains standing. We have come to the conclusion that Talon of the Woods is not guilty of the charges pressed towards her. She will be allowed to remain here under supervision, if that is what she wishes. But you are cleared of all charges, and your companions must remain with you if you continue to remain here. Guards, she motions to the guards that were around you, please remove all witnesses from the chambers as the verdict has been given. And everyone kind of stands up, as they don't really need to be escorted out. They will all do as they're told. But Talon, you do see a shorter, thinner child elf remains towards the back of the group. And as they kind of turn to look at you, you notice those same purple eyes, one of which is reflected in yours, as they kind of look at you and give you a nod and exit the room. Now that the trial is over, you have information for us about Grandfather Tree and the Withering. She says it as a brand title, as opposed to an effect.
The Withering capitalized.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. They're, like I said, we're champions of different gods, and unfortunately that means that there are opposing gods who are trying to alter the pantheon. One of those is Bashaba, and we know that there are cultists stationed nearby in, is it the Lost Peak? I pulled that out of my butt. Yeah, look at me go. Sorry, I got excited. That are gathering at the Lost Peak, and we think that since that is on the western side of this, that is what is affecting Grandfather Tree. So we were going to go take care of that. Because that's kind of what we've been doing for the past 6 years or so.
The new elf, the goth elf, as you guys have named her in the chat, speaks up and sits forward, and she says, curious, the goddess Bashaba, you said. What powers does she have that she could wither such a grand tree?
Well, it's not just her. Long story short, and this is really long story short, Timora Bashaba used to be Tai Chi. They are trying to become Tai Chi again. They are inside one of our old friends trying to complete that merger. They are also allied with Tolona, who is, that is why I'm assuming that this is happening to Grandfather Tree, because we've been to Tolona's horrible, horrible place that she lives in her plane. And so we think that because of the Bashaba cultists, that maybe Tolona is also there, and that is the power that's affecting grandfather tree is to do with them. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but we can just draw some conclusions here based on the fact that they are allied and that's what's happening.
I see. You have been to the lair of Talona?
Yes, they were holding Azuth captive for some crystal magic, and we freed him.
I see. Could you give us a description of the lair itself? You see one of the people off to the side grabs a notebook.
She just starts to detail the different like layers that they went through and the things that they, saw there, and some of the plants that she recognized and some that they did not. Some of the ones that she recognized from the other planes that they've been to as well, and all those kinds of things. Just trying to be as quickly detailed as possible. Because again, I know they have no concept of time, but we are on a bit of a time crunch.
You see they're discussing amongst themselves this layer and the plants and creatures that you have described, and they do ask you to describe some that you hadn't heard of before, that like the ones that attacked you and those sort of things in more detail, so they could get a little bit more of an insight into what they are. And Elisar says, you have been traveling and finding other champions of the gods. Do you have an account of who all of the gods have chosen?
Not all of the gods have chosen champions. You have the ones here, and we know some that have been captured by the opposition. And there are a couple others on board of our ship that's docked. And we'll just won't give like too big. Just feel like a little bit like too, she's just like, these gods have chosen champions, but she gives no other information about said champions.
Okay.
Like that are allied with us. Yeah, no.
Right. Fair,
she's not doxed. She's
fair.
like, like tell us the god, like has chosen a champion. She'll just be like, these gods have chosen champions and they are allied with us. These gods that are not allied with us have chosen champions, and she does not give any other information than that.
I'm
She's not gonna-
imagining these people just want this info because they're a bunch of nerds.
Yeah,
and
they're a
wanna
bunch of
record
nerds,
everything.
but she's still a
But-
little suspicious.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like the questions have, and it, like I don't know, there was a part when you were asking about Talona's lair. It's like, wait, do they have someone who can like cross check against us and like be like, no, you're lying. It was like
Yeah.
this.
They're more like, I mean, at this point you have proven that you have, at least have some, credence to what you've said. So they are just, mostly this is like, they are going to take account of what you are saying and then try to fact check it to the information that they have and add to if that is the case. Like there's going to be a
now they
3-step
care about
process.
facts all of a sudden.
The whole thing was about facts.
I'm kidding.
I
I'm kidding.
debate
I'm kidding.
that. I disagree.
Debate me.
You don't want to debate these guys. It won't be fun.
Era is just going to leave a whole notepad filled with the benefits of like evidence-based justice and different like standards of legal proceedings that they use in the city of 10,000 pearls to like just leave it on the edge of the desk for someone to read it.
Yeah, they'll ask about the champions. They'll ask about pretty much anything that you've come in contact with. I think the main question Syndra has is this merger that is happening. Do you know what caused it?
We don't know exactly what caused it, other than I think it was just the fact that it was the first time they chose the same champion. It was the first time in a millennia that they'd been working together, like again. And I think it kind of, instead of being polarizing, it magnetized them together.
The assumption being they think it'll win them the war.
I see.
Because they were on our side at the beginning.
We have many texts on Tai Chi. and what life was like before when they were separated and after that. If the polarization stopped and they were recombined, it is my understanding that Timora would not have gone along with something to return her to Taichi. I cannot speak for the gods, but I do not think Bashaba would as well. They both appreciate their individuality. It would be my guess that this merger was unwilling on both sides.
So someone else is pulling the strings.
Or it was an accident.
I feel like we've been
Was-
doing this long enough now to assume that could it have been an accident? Just gonna look at her friends like, does any of this feel accidental?
People make meaning out of random happenstance all the time. Just suck for all of us if it just so happened to be the gods doing it for once.
Yeah, to cause the apocalypse on accident kind of feels like it will. Either way, they either should have had something in place, some sort of like protection.
Fail
Or something.
safe.
They should have known that this was a possibility. Like there is an amount of negligence that goes into them letting this happen.
Even if it was an accident, it doesn't negate the responsibility.
Yeah.
Of course. The gods are
We're
not
all lawyers tonight.
Yeah, the gods are not infallible. They have made mistakes before. The spell plague being one of them. But there are gods that can put pieces into place, if that is the case. I am not here to speculate. If it is an accident, it is an accident. If it is not, there are greater things at work.
Well, I think our next step, just gonna like move this along because she doesn't
Yeah.
really want to be here anymore. In the
Fair.
presence of her dad. Is we're gonna trail the withering. Have you followed it to a point? Or are you just trying to figure out how to help from here?
We have searched to the end of our boundaries. The withering has only begun of the past 2 moons. We've begun research into it, but it does not seem from the surface that it is something affecting the plants nearby. Grandfather Tree's roots go far and wide. We assume it is going through them.
So I think our next step will be to track that to the source, and assuming that that is where the cultists that we were told about from an ally, we will stop them.
If Talona is at hand, that gives us an insight into how to reverse it, I suppose. We will have to do some research. Grandfather Tree is quite old and of its own devices, but perhaps we can help.
Not easily affected by mortal or demi-immortal magics. So it seems
Exactly.
like it would have to be something stronger than that. So I think the assumption that it is her would be pretty solid. So y'all look into that and we will get to the bottom of eliminating what's on the other side of that. Since that's our job. If there's anybody that wants to come with us, they're more than welcome, but we're pretty good at handling things.
Are you asking for assistance?
No, I just didn't want to cut y'all out if you had like if there were people that were really itching to go with. If you guys had like scouting parties or something that we're sending out, I didn't want to like step on those toes. Since we're just coming into the middle of a problem that you have had for about a month. So
Understood. We will inform the scouting parties of your traversing in the woods. As we've said, you are allowed access under supervision for a preliminary period.
we won't be staying long.
Understood.
Okay, well, I don't know how to end of court proceedings, but I'm gonna just takes a glass of wine off the end, like off the table from like their charcuterie board and just starts walking out the door.
Mhm.
Doesn't finish the sentence, just I'm
Mhm.
gonna and just leaves.
Yeah. Like council stands. The proceedings have been over. They've just been, this is a more of a discussion. You see Talon's father exits the room very quickly as the others mingle for a moment and continue out. There is a guard that will accompany you if you're going somewhere. You have been told your friends need to stay with you, so as Talon leaves the room, they motion for you guys to follow.
Follow.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like slams the glass of wine and just like sets it on the ground. It's like, sorry, I felt like I was gonna suffocate in there. All of a sudden I felt like I was a child again.
You did
Uh,
really well.
I think I have to, give the Hail Mary win to the Blood Queen on that one. I don't think I'm not sure how that would have turned out otherwise.
Well, she wouldn't have done that if she didn't think you were worthy of it.
Seems like she enjoyed it at least a little bit.
She dislikes my dad as much as I do.
I hope I never fuck up badly enough to have any deity take a personal vendetta against me.
Right? Well, do you want to go just like investigate grandfather tree? Just like look around, see the direction we're supposed to be going. It's not a really far walk, and it's a really pretty walk. Could all use probably some fresh air.
And we should probably get all the information we can while we're here.
Yeah, before we just like head off into the, since the scouting parties are gonna get a heads up about us, I figure we can go maybe check out the tree and do some looking around it. You guys can see it. And we can talk to them and see what other information they have. If they haven't gone beyond the borders of the city, then they haven't gone as far as the Lost Peak. But if that's where we know that we probably have to go, we might be able to convince some to scout ahead and get us some information on numbers and what lies ahead. They're quick and quiet. So if nothing else, we can maybe convince them to get us some information, and then we can head in ourselves a little bit more prepared than we would be if we just busted in not knowing anything.
Sounds good to me. On our way, we can pass out pamphlets on what their judicial system and their legal system is doing for them. Try to start a revolution on the way.
I don't think you're going to find many people here who I will say there probably hasn't been a crime since I left, and there weren't any in the entire, it's just not very common here that they even have to have these kinds of proceedings. I think the one before I was born was like 75 years before I was born.
That's probably just a method of like gerrymandering, that they're just like cutting out the people that don't meet their, like, anytime a civilization, a city is saying there's no crime, there's always they're skewing those demographics like one way
It's
or
very
another.
possible. Again, I left when I was like 40. So but again, like just from what I'm saying, like people just mostly just, they come here and they study and learn things and keep to themselves, and you train, and everybody serves on the guard for a couple years, and then you spend your days reading and all that stuff if you don't want to continue to serve it's a very quiet existence here. I was kind of a odd one out.
So it's the suburbs.
Yeah.
Let's look at a tree.
A really big tree. Starts like leading
Love a good
them
tree.
towards down the trail and everything towards through the village and to the trail towards Grandfather Tree.
All right, I think that's a good place for us to take our break for the evening. We'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes, and I'll go to place. Another set is to grab a drink, grab food, grab a friend, do a little stretch. I think we need to all stretch our backs today. It's been a while since we've done that. So don't go to a place. We'll be right back. Bye.
Meow 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 meow.
Welcome back, everyone. Simon says hello. Sorry, I was gonna do a countdown and then Alex started. And I already hit the button. We're back. Thank you for hanging out with us after the break. For those of you watching on YouTube, that's like 10 seconds. Wow. All right.
Really long time. I'm so sorry we left
so
you guys
sorry.
for so long.
As you guys are leaving this village, Talon, you guys could hear footsteps coming up behind you as you still have the guards behind you. There's just the one. But there are some footsteps coming up, and as you turn, you see this very young elf, again with those purple eyes, very blonde hair that is sort of shaggy but like at his shoulders, and the guard just kind of watches as he runs up. Talon, you recognize these eyes, and he's sort of like a little wide-eyed staring at you guys, but being so young is being very brave, coming up to this group of people that he's never seen before.
A centaur, a minotaur,
yeah,
tiefling. Only one kind of person he probably recognizes.
He's only read about the you people, and
What do you mean, you people?
He kind of slides to a halt and like is looking at everyone and realizes he doesn't know what to say. You can see him open his mouth, but nothing really comes out.
Volkus just quietly gives him a encouraging smile.
You need to work on those footsteps. They're a little loud.
Why would my footsteps not need to be loud? Why do they need to be quiet?
Well, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Be a wizard?
Depending on where you are, sometimes wizards need to tread softly and carefully.
Okay. I mean, I know you need to be quiet in the library.
You need to be quiet in the woods too. You don't want to break branches or break too many leaves.
I don't like the woods. They're dangerous.
Oh, they're not dangerous if you know what you're doing.
I don't know. I just like the books. So, hi.
I'm Talon. She sticks out her hand.
He like puts his hand out and very eagerly shakes yours. I'm Tanith.
We're going to Grandfather Tree. Do you want to come with us?
I don't think I should.
I don't want to start being a bad influence on you day one, but we do have a guard with us.
Guess that's. I'm not usually supposed to leave the tree line. It's
Oh.
dangerous and I'm young.
Well, I promise I'll protect you, and I know my friends will too. So if you want to go ask permission, you can. I
You
think
see
you
him
know what the answer's going to be.
Yeah, yeah, he does. You can tell his look on his face. He's kind of thinking like, if I ask, the answer is going to be no. I don't think I should do that.
But we won't tell if you don't tell.
We're not allowed to lie.
It's not lying if you don't say anything.
You couldn't see the cogs starting to turn in his brain.
Oh, we're turning this kid into a wizard.
He's like, I guess that's true.
Gale is forming behind this child's eyes.
Yup.
Okay, but not for too long. I don't want to get in trouble.
We're just gonna go check out Grandfather Tree and see what's making him sick. Figure out what direction it is, and then we're gonna come back and meet up with the scouting party. So we won't be gone for very long.
Okay.
And you'll be safe up here. She kind of just like lifts him up and puts him on Alhena's back.
I was about to suggest the same thing.
Yep.
You can feel him like
extra safe up here.
you can feel him run his hands over your hair a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, I mean, it feels just like a horse."
It's a lot like a horse.
Okay. And he like looks to the guard, and the guard's like, kind of gives him a very straight line face, but does not say anything. He's not here to judge. He's just here to guard.
Okay. We won't go fast, but hold on.
To what?
I'm imagining there's like straps on the back of Alhena's armor for this exact scenario.
Sure.
Just like
Yeah.
one, like, Tal just like shows him where to put his like
Little, like,
hand or
handholds.
whatever. Yeah, just like a handhold or whatever.
This has happened enough at this point that I feel like that we've
We've
accommodated
retrofitted.
for
Yeah,
this.
we've retrofitted.
He has
I mean-
very small hands, so he has like both hands on the
Oh.
one handhold. Okay, I've only ridden ponies before, so don't go fast.
Luckily, I'm a little smarter than the pony.
I hope
Oh, much smarter than a pony. Don't sell yourself short.
Centaurs
pon-
have beef with ponies?
No, I was just trying to make him feel a little better.
I've met some
Oh,
smart
I'm
ponies.
sorry.
I think Alhena finds that extremely funny. Moxie's
goes
like,
around and
gossip?
learn.
Is there gossip?
so.
Talon goes around and introduces everybody to her little brother.
Hi. So you guys are adventurers?
Yeah.
Kind of
Mhm.
by accident, but yes.
Uh-huh.
So you've
Oh,
been
mine was
brave-
on purpose.
Yeah, Alina's was on purpose. Kalka's yours was on purpose too, right?
Yes, but I think, the being chosen by gods was mostly on accident for all of us.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
any of us asked
Yeah, I don't
for that
remember
one.
anymore.
Like, not to brag, but we're kind of super adventurers in that sense.
Yeah,
That's
we're a
right.
little extra
True.
adventurers.
You guys have been to like other planes, right?
Alhena's from another plane.
I'm from Ravnica.
Oh,
So is
That's-
Arrow. They're from the plane of water.
wow. I mean, I know that people can come from outside other planes, but I mean, I've only seen the people in the village before.
Well, that's the thing. I was the same way, and then I left, and I met tons of people from lots of different places,
Hmm.
even just along the Sword Coast.
Does Dad not like you because you tried to kill him?
Dad didn't like me before that.
Oh,
Who's your mom?
she's one of the guards.
Well, my mom was our dad's first wife, and they were very much in love for a very long time before they had me. And she died having me.
Oh.
And he never forgave me for that.
But, I mean, you didn't ask to be born, right?
No, I know it wasn't my fault, but he could never get past it. It took him a very long time to find her, and it's going to take him a very long time to get over losing her. But he obviously got over a little bit because he has you.
I don't think he likes my mom very much.
Well, does he like you?
I think so.
And then he's a better dad to you than he was to me. And that's what matters. Even old elves are capable of growth.
But what makes a good dad?
Well, I think a lot of the things that make a good friend, they're there for you when you need them. They offer advice when you ask for it. And they love you unconditionally, not just because you do what they want you to do.
Okay. I mean, I think so, yeah. I think a lot of people do then. A lot of people help me with my studies.
And they obviously care about you. They care about you growing up. I mean, there's not probably many people your age around here, and I know how hard that can be, especially if you don't quite fit in with them. I know I struggled with that a lot when I was younger.
I just do a lot of studying. The
Yeah.
elders help me learn magic.
What kind of magic have you learned? We've got several people here who do lots of different kinds of magic.
I mean, I can read people's minds, and
Got a sense of that earlier.
yeah, sorry, I'm supposed to ask before I do that.
That's okay, I'm used to it.
I can make lights, and I'm learning how to deal with the natural stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like making plants and stuff, but that's really hard for me.
Oh, the nature magic isn't coming quite as easily.
Mm-mm. I'm really good at the mind stuff. I can get really deep if I need to.
Well, Moxie's really good at mind magic.
Yeah, I'm not good at
And-
nature magic either.
And
Cool.
Arrow and Alhena could definitely do some coaching in the nature magic if you needed some
yeah.
help.
Oh, magic, yeah.
And Culcus, his magic comes from the god of joy, his god.
Cool.
That's why he's kind of just, if you look just out of the corner of your eye, he's always a little sparkly.
When you put it like that, our vibes are immaculate.
True.
And I do
But we're not-
magic.
We're not all good at everything.
No.
Nobody's good at
That's
everything.
why we're a team.
Mm-hmm. We kind of fill in the blanks where the others have them.
That's cool, though. I mean, I guess if you want to be an adventurer, you have to have a little bit of everything, right?
It's really hard to be an adventurer on your own.
And the real magic is good nutrition.
That's what Dad
And the
says.
friends you make along the way.
That to a lesser extent.
And also the magic items you find while adventuring.
Those are
That-
super
yeah.
important. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
number one.
Okay.
I don't know if it's number one, but it's up there.
So you left but you lived here for a long time, right?
About 40 years, yeah.
So not that long.
No, not very long by our standards.
Yeah. I feel like the one thing that kind of sucks about being a kid is you're a kid for a long time.
Yeah.
But it honestly doesn't feel like that sometimes. I don't need to sleep that much, so I usually just read, and then I go eat when I'm hungry, And then I go talk to my tutors when it's tutoring time. And then I go read.
You get to practice magic?
Yeah, like once a month.
See, when I was your age, I know you're scared of the woods, but I would sneak off into the woods a lot. And I would practice with my bow, and I would practice, you know, being quiet and just listening to nature around me and making friends with animals.
Wow.
And she kind of just like looks up and whistles, and Root comes.
Mm-hmm. You see him like actively cower when Root comes into play. He like hides in the armor.
Oh, he's friendly.
Root's been my friend since about 2 weeks after I left.
Oh.
And think if you were scared to go into the woods and you felt like you needed something to protect you, he could probably be bribed into staying here if you fed him rabbit and you wanted to become his friend.
Birds don't really like me.
She just kind of like mentally messages like Root, like they have like one of their like little like like mental conversations or whatever, like this one's mine, they belong to me, I know you do your own thing now, but like just kind of like be nice to this one.
Yeah.
And I think Root would just be like very like demure. And sorry, pop culture. Just little jewels, very cutesy, very Jules Run. Shout out Chicago. Sorry, I've been following her for years. I love her so much. It's so funny that she's gotten so much exposure now. I love her so much, so I'm glad she deserves it. And just goes and just is like very okay. Oh, sorry, be less scary, and he kind of like instead of being like all puffy like adventure, he kind of just like makes himself as little as possible like on Talon's like shoulder, and it's just like or like arm, probably because he's probably too big to be on her shoulder, but like on arm or whatever, and it's just like kind of like ducks his head down a little bit and it's like
he kind of like perks up a little bit and like very timidly like puts a hand out and then pulls it back and then puts a hand out like shakily like kids do. Like, yeah.
His feathers are really soft. He takes very good care of them.
He pets him and kind of just goes, oh, he is very soft. What's his name?
Root.
Like a tree.
That's where I found him. Was at the base of a tree.
Oh, why was he at the base of a tree?
Well, I was going through the woods and I heard some rustling at the base of a tree, and he had gotten caught in some sort of net that some sort of hunter or trapper had set up for bloodhawks, and he was really young at the time, like an adolescent, probably about your age, and I freed him from it, and his wing was broken, and I helped set it and took care of him, and then we stayed together because his family had moved off, and he kind of became my family until I found my friends.
If that happened to me, I think I'd be really scared.
Yeah, we were both alone in the world, and we had only each other for a very long time. But if you wanted to have Root for a while, since I'm going to have to leave soon, and you wanted to feel a little safer, if you wanted to do a little more magic practice and adventuring, I'm sure Root would take care of you.
You think Root would stay with me?
If I asked him to, he would.
But would he want to?
I could ask him.
He nods.
little mental message to Root.
Mm-hmm.
I know you miss being in the high forest
Mhm.
and you don't love the ship. Do
Yeah.
you want to stay here with my little brother?
There is a, like, you see the, like, face, and it's like a child.
Well, you have your own at this
Mm.
point.
Fair.
Fair. You've nested a couple broods in the past 6 years. And
Ayo.
hey yo, Root's had a couple wifeys in the past couple years. So I figured maybe he would want to go back to High Forest and hang out for a while. And if he wants to stay, I would let him.
Yeah, I think he would be amenable to that, as long as he's like, I will stay as long as I can be my own bird and I don't have to stay in a cage. That's like his stipulation.
Yeah, of course. So she'll explain that. So Root says he'll stay and hang out with you and protect you since I have to leave. And when I go, it'll be like I'm leaving a little bit of me with you.
I would like that a lot, I think. I'll probably have to keep him away from Dad for a bit.
Oh, he doesn't want to be in a cage at all.
No.
So I can teach you how to whistle for him, and he'll just hang out kind of nearby in the forest, and when you feel like adventuring around, he'll come find you.
I can whistle really well.
Then you're good to go.
He whistles. It is loud, one note, but it is loud.
Just kind of nods at Root like, okay, you get it.
Wow, thanks.
There you go.
When I learn how to message, can I send you a message?
Of course. And I can message, so I can send those to you as well if you want, every now and then.
Okay. What if Dad says we can't talk?
Then I'll talk to Dad.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, it's not really talking, right?
Oh no, we've got you finding loopholes already.
He is a child.
But yes, you are correct. But I don't want you to feel like you are going to get in trouble for having a relationship for me if that's something that you want. So I will talk to him if he forbids you from seeing me or talking to me.
Okay. Is the Blood Queen, like, nice? She seemed really mean.
Oh no, she's great. And she has protected me since I was a baby. She just seems really scary. It's like her whole image.
Mm-hmm. He, like, nods very fiercely.
I mean, like, we all look really rough and tumble, but, you know, tough outside, marshmallow inside.
He doesn't, and points to Colchis.
Tries to lift like one of the panels of armor and like poke, but there's probably just like chain, like, you know, all the absurd layers of armor.
Yeah. He's saying you don't
is the
look
biggest marshmallow of all of us.
Yes.
I can tell. He looks really soft. Is that bad? Can I say that?
Oh yes, it's fine. I'm a dad now. That is expected of dads. I have heard tell of the dad bod in the cities.
This kid is an ally, and he doesn't even know it.
Okay. You guys have come up to the grandfather tree. As you guys kind of didn't, for those of you who are in this conversation, haven't really noticed that you are coming up to this tree, as it is very imposing and seems like just a giant wall ahead of you. But as you get closer to it, you can see the details of the bark. That these panels of the bark are probably like 4 feet wide at least. You can tell that it's very, the channels are very deep as well. So in between each sort of little panel, there is like, you could probably fit a whole person in between them, or hide them if you're playing hide and seek or something like that. But the tree is hundreds of feet tall, like bigger than redwoods. This is a magical tree, and it is giving off an aura, Alhena and Arrow. You can definitely feel I guess all of you have magical ability. This tree has an immense power to it. Even in its slightly diminished state, it is still probably the most powerful thing in this area.
And Talon's been here before, so can she sense a difference in the way it feels now versus 16 years ago?
Yeah, it's a little like it might be that you had a childlike awe. It might, like when you return to something and you were taller. But it does feel a little different. The power level is not that significantly smaller. It seems like the teleportation is the one thing that has really been diminished from it. But I mean, like, I guess percentage wise, it's probably like 20% lower.
It feels like something is affecting it, though.
Yes, yeah.
Just without even having to do a check or anything, just from being here before.
Exactly.
So she'll help her little brother off of Alhena's back, and we start to like walk around the tree. Like, we'll all start to kind of like, do some, I don't know, like perception or investigation or some sort of check to like figure out like, the direction in which the whatever is affecting it's affecting it, and how. I would like to make a roll of some sort, nature or whatever, perception, investigation, whatever you want.
I mean, I would think nature, or probably nature, or like an arcana, a magic based one.
I'll do an arcana. It's a little bit better. Okay, so that's a dirty 20.
Dope. Yeah, so you begin to walk around this tree. You guys came from the east, and as you are moving around it, you do feel that the bark begins to darken a bit as you get further along, and not from shadow. The actual bark itself seems to be more cracked on this side, and you can see that at the base it is more intense than on the tree itself. So it is coming from the root system that this seems to be coming from, and it is on the west side of the tree. It's seems to be facing the peak, as it was the little mountain that is in this forest. So you're definitely getting the vibe that this is whatever's causing it is coming from. It's very correlated to what is happening in the mine.
She'll ask her nature magic savvy friends to come over and check to see if anything else besides the tree is being affected. Like, is it just because the roots go so far and so deep, or is it have them kind of like scope out people that are more in tune with nature than she is, to kind of like scope out whether or not it's affecting other things around here slowly.
I'm not going to make you guys roll for it. It's pretty clear that, like, the plant life around here, you can tell from one side to the other, it seems very the same. There is no difference on the structure of the plants from even the trees that are close by. They're not being affected. Whatever this is not in the ground here. It seems to be that it is seeping in from the roots. So it hasn't quite reached this far, but Talon, that these roots go for miles.
So my guess is that once we get closer to the peak, that maybe the plant life will be affected nearby, but not necessarily this far yet. Whatever they're doing up there.
It's seeping into the roots.
It's seeping into the roots of whatever is nearby there, but because grandfather tree is that the roots go for miles and miles, he must have some that are close to whatever is happening over there. But it hasn't quite reached here yet. But the assumption is that it will eventually.
It will.
Things like this don't stop on their own.
I think he wants to talk to you.
To me?
I think all of you.
Do you know how?
I think you just gotta let him.
kind of gathers. I'm just gonna believe this child. Kinda like-
He doesn't really know how to lie, so
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And she'll just kind of like, I don't know, she'll grab her little brother's hand and also put her hand on the tree so that maybe he can witness whatever it is that they're going to talk to this tree about.
Yeah, you do this. You take his hand and you touch the tree, and you feel his hand kind of pull away from you and like pull away from the tree, and he's like, I don't think he wants to show me. He said it's scary.
Okay, well, if you don't want to.
He shakes his head.
Okay. Well, you let me know if you want to know after.
Okay.
You ate with Root.
Okay. You're like, Root is
Let's-
sitting on a low branch of a tree, not grandfather's tree. There's no branches down here, but he kind of like scoots. He's like within 10 feet of him.
He
and,
like herds
scoots
him.
Yeah, it comes over a little bit closer. Like they're still like, COVID distance away, but he's like
I'm getting them used to each other.
Mhm.
Root is staying with this child.
Yes. But as Talon, you reach out to this tree, you guys all feel this connection as grandfather tree, if you allow him, gives you a vision. And you begin to Elhana, I think you'd recognize this as like seeing through trees and other plants, and he's kind of taking you through the forest, and you are like jumping ahead in the forest, going westward, and you can see the mountain, this grand peak, which has some leeway up to it. There is a path that zigzags up the side. It was created by dwarves, so it is very well made, and the stairs, there's a ramp, a little bit of stair, pathway, and then another ramp, and it zigzags up, and you can see this grand entrance. There were statues at this entrance that have been pulled down, and the remnants of them have just been laid out in the entranceway, and then moved aside, so there is still a path. And you can feel the tree, the vision through these plants moving up towards the peak of the mountain, and you can feel yourself in a smaller situation. At the peak of the mountain, it's not going to be, there's not grand trees up here. It is sparser in the foliage, so you might be a bush. You are a bush. You are a bush. And you can see the entrance to this place.
Coordinate now.
You can see the entrance to the place. It seems to be a live feed, as there is nothing moving in and out of here. But as you look through this bush, you feel yourselves whirring through time as the sun goes up and down and the moon comes out, as you are pulled back in time through the vision of this bush. And you can see forces moving in and out of this place. You can get a handle on, probably at this time, unless people are teleporting in and out of here, there's probably about 4 dozen people in here. They all look to be diseased in some way, almost zombie-like in the way that they move about. They some of them are glowing, some of them are just have boils, some of them have decaying skin. They look to be on death's door, like they should be dead, but they are not. I mean, you guys have seen undead before. It kind of looks like that, but they seem to have a bit more spark in their eye. They are not technically undead, just for our divine casters. They and you guys would know that Talona's followers do disease themselves to get more in her following. So about 4 dozen that you can see, and as time falls back,
The leper colony.
Exactly. You can see on the peak, as time is rewound and all of the people have like left before anyone came, basically, you can see a vision of Nazira appearing at this peak and looking out over the land. This was months ago at this point, and she is looking over, and you can see her kind of like shaking her head in distress in some way. And as she is doing this, you kind of see the look of your old friend pass over her eyes and over her face, and she seems to be in a bit of a struggle. And as she kind of yells out to the world, you can see the form of Timora and Bashaba kind of pull out from her. And as it does, you can see the forms connected by some sort of magical aura, this magnetic force that is pulling them towards her as she is trying to push it away. And as they pull away from her, you can see a bubble begin to form around her, a magic visage that is like encasing her. And as she tries to push them out, and you can see that they are trying to pull away as well, there is a moment and they snap back together, and her face shifts, and she is back to the form that you have seen before. This confidence, this ire for the world. And as that happens, as you see this visage image, you're pulled back, and you guys are all going to get the bless effect from Father Tree. And as long as you are within his aura, within his area, which includes this mountain, you will have the bless effect on you.
Talon removes her hand from the bark of the tree and just kind of like nods, like as she does.
Mm-hmm. You hear the wind whistling through the leaves above.
Well, we know what's happening there now. I think we need to go back to the village, let them know that that's where we're going to go. See if their scouting parties want to be involved, because I don't want to cut them out of something that directly involves them, but say that we're going to handle it regardless. What do you think?
Definitely more chance of succeeding if we've got backup.
I think you're right. I think we should intervene regardless. Seems
So
important.
whatever's happening here is affecting the magic of the forest itself. And again, it's not just my home village is going to be affected. It's the entirety of the forest and everything surrounding it, whatever's happening there. It's not good. Whether Talona is the puppeteer of this whole thing, or whether she just hitched her horse to this accidental merging, she's obviously involved. Again, yeah, I know. At least one of us has a very personal vendetta against her. Looks at Arrow.
Yeah, I'd really like to fuck with her if we have the chance.
It seems like she's got a foothold with whatever is happening in at that peak. So, given the state of the people that were carted in there,
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess let's talk. You do your thing, talk to your people here, and then we go fuck shit up.
all right. It's a quick little like nature prayer at Grandfather Tree before she leaves. And if anybody else wants to commune, this is probably a very intensely nature magical place to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he would amplify if anybody wants to talk to their gods, considering what like a powerful entity this is.
I mean, Focus will kneel down, but it's not so much a prayer to Lyra as it is like going through his oaths again, because he has Oath of the Ancients, and so kind of like reaffirming the tenets.
Yeah.
And
This is a very ancient being we're in front of.
yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you get a very warm feeling from this tree as it appreciates the gesture and your words. It is a very odd experience. You guys have been in front of gods before and dealt with them. This seems almost bigger and grander, definitely older and warmer than anything that you felt before. The grandfather tree has many properties to it. You just feel safe here, I guess. All right.
Then after that, we'll just do small, quick prayer to Lyra, but nothing of.
Still love you, boo.
Yeah, basically just like, we're here. This is what's going on. We'll hopefully have good news soon.
On the breeze. All right, anything else?
It just like echoes through the forest.
Yeah. It's a tambourine somewhere. All right, anything else from anyone at the grandfather tree? Okay.
I think I know my mission.
Hell yeah. You guys head back to town. I think that your brother is going to run ahead as to not want to be seen, just in case. And you see Root
She makes
flying.
him stay with them until they get close to
Yeah.
just because like it's still the woods.
Yeah. No,
And then makes Root fly overhead, keeping an eye on him even as he goes into the village to make sure he makes it home safe.
Yeah, and you see Root flying ahead as he is like kind of chasing Root through the village. And you get a sense from Root that like is actually kind of enjoying this. It's fun to hang around kids sometimes, as long as he's not gonna pull on his feathers, he's cool.
He's gonna love this kid.
Yeah. Do you guys want to go talk to the scouting party then?
Yes.
Okay. You head deeper into the village. Again, it's just this lush, like, Arrow, this place, your mother would love it here, as nothing has uprooted anything else. Everything seems to be built in the trees and living cohesively with everything else. You've come across a smaller hut that you would know, and you know that this is where the scouts usually hang out. You walk in the door. The guard is going to hang out outside. He doesn't need to, be over your shoulder all the time, but he is still there. And you walk in and see a figure inside. And Talon, you recognize them immediately. This is a male elf. He has fairly small ears, especially for here. And he is older. But not quite. I guess it's hard to tell with elves, but he seems more weathered. And this is Jandar. As he sort of looks up, and you can see, for the first time, anyone in this village, a smile comes across their face. As he stands up and he says, "I did not think I would see the day."
Well, we all have to face our past at some point. And if it's the end of the world, I might as well.
Word travels fast. I thought maybe I'd be able to sit in on the proceedings, but they were already done before I got word. And a trial being over that quickly, it seems to be a very concise trial.
Well, my god made an appearance, so that kind of made things speed up.
That is quite unheard of. But I'm glad that they did not decide to press you for execution.
Well, if they had, that would have been their mistake.
How can I help you?
We have determined where the sickness, the withering, is coming from. And we are going to go there and take care of it. But we didn't want to step on the toes of the scouting parties that you have at the border. And we didn't know if you wanted to be involved or if they wanted to scout ahead and look at numbers or if they wanted to come with. We didn't want to just show up and, take command, but we're going and we didn't want to make it so that everybody here felt like they couldn't be involved if they wanted to be.
I am glad that the world has not made you more hardy. Not in a bad way. I meant you seem to be just as kind to me and considerate as when you left.
Well, there was only one person here that I had a problem with, for the most part, and it wasn't you.
Yes, people here can be unkind and uncouth, but they are stuck in their ways, and it is quiet here. So, although with this withering, my job has become a bit more difficult. If you are coming to end that, I don't see any reason why I would need to supervise. You seem like you're with a very capable group.
You have no idea. But again, we just didn't want to step on any toes, but we are going to head that way sooner rather than later to eliminate the problem that's affecting Grandfather Tree, and because we think that it directly affects and will hopefully affect the outcome of what it is that we're doing.
Well, if you are intending to do this, I could send our fastest member, Threadbearer, out to get a lay of the land for you. Although I have no ideas of what you're capable of. I assume he's faster, but might be worth it.
I would accept the help. He can scout out ahead. Really all we need is numbers and maybe what they're doing there if he can tell, but if he can't, it's not worth getting close enough to risk hurting himself. But figuring out how many buildings, if there are buildings, and what they're doing there would really, I think, help us as we go in and determine our approach, whether we go stealthy or whether we take the ship and just drop in on top of them. So
sorry, you said ship?
Oh yeah, we have one of the Pandan, in Port Pandan.
Yes.
We have one of the Pandan ships.
Oh,
because
that must have run you a pretty penny.
No, it's we saved Jacob Pandan from a demi-plane where he was trapped by it's a very long story.
I've heard the story. That is quite impressive. You've made quite the name for yourself on the outside.
Well, anyways, we have a ship, so it can just take us there, if we need it to. But if what Threadbare figures out is stealth is our best option, then we'll do that instead.
I can outfit him with something that'll help him get a better view of things.
Perfect. I don't want him to get in danger. It's not worth danger. We can just drop in and say, hey, we're here. That's kind of, we usually opt for diplomacy and secrecy, but if we can't, we're outfitted to take care of it if we need to.
Of course. If you give me, I could send him out immediately, and if you give him 12 hours, he could find out as much as he can, and you could pick a spot to meet him in the wood.
Sounds great. And we'll just look over maps or whatever and figure out where on the way to we'll head out that way after he heads that way and meet them in a place.
Okay. Yeah, he will, like after you figured out where to meet, he will get up to leave, and he like puts a hand on your shoulder, and I'm very proud of you, for what it's worth.
Thank you. I just been doing my best with the cards that were given to me.
Yes, well, sometimes when you're dealt a shit hand, you gotta fold and move on, and that's exactly what you've done.
I mean, having the grace of and favor of a god doesn't really feel like I've been dealt a shit hand, just one that I personality wise was probably not,
Yes.
ready for.
An ace in the hole. I don't really play cards, I'm sorry.
That's kind of motions to Moxie. It's probably her purview. If you wanted to learn a thing or two, I'm sure she could teach you.
Perhaps I'll
we'll
take you
play
up on that.
cards.
All right. Don't take me for my britches. He gathers himself and leaves the room.
Well, so it sounds like we have at least a little bit, because if he's going to go there and come back and meet us in that place, it's going to take him about 12 hours. So, I mean, we could just head out that way and meet him there, or we could hang out a bit. Up to you guys. I've taken up enough of your day with this whole trial and visions from grandfather tree and past trauma and patriarchy.
I imagine, there will be slightly more comfort here. So what presumably waiting here, then heading out to meet the scout. But in the time we're here, is there anything here that you have good memories of you'd like to show us?
Oh, sure. If I mean, obviously I love the library and stuff, and there's lots of trails through the woods that are pretty, that have really, cool spots and stuff if you guys want to see those. But I spent a lot of time alone because, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's not like there were like 50 elf children that were around my same age. There were like 3, they were like 10 years older than me, and then like 1 that was like a year younger than me. And that was pretty much it.
Maybe it would be nice to walk the trails not alone.
It definitely rewrites some memories. Yeah, that sounds like a good way to kill some time.
You want a group activity or like a engaged couple type of walk? You know what I'm
Here we go.
saying?
Well,
Group
I think the
activity.
guard here were kind of forced into group activity.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah,
we're group
okay.
activity forced. But I wouldn't mind making my way over to my childhood home and having a conversation with my father to make sure that I can continue to have a relationship with my brother if y'all aren't done with confrontation for the day.
I am dying to see your childhood home.
I mean, Moxie and I didn't get much chance in the courtroom. This might be more our
Yep,
style.
more our speed.
So
Set them loose on the family drama.
that's what I'm thinking. So she'll just start leading them over to her childhood home. And
Cooliosis. That is a good spot for us to end, so I can emotionally and mechanically prepare for that. All right, thank you
man,
guys
it's
so much.
not going to stop me from having a little brother.
Hey yo, I gotta gear up for that one. Thank you guys so much for watching and playing with us tonight. Let's go around and have everybody say where people can find you and what you do, starting of course with Tanya.
Oh, hi. You can find me at Tanya Rolling on the internet. Or if you go to Facebook and go to Oh Hey, you'll see that I'm doing a lip sync battle September 21st at Dormouse Theater if you're in Kalamazoo. And that's all I got. Good night.
You gotta film it, even if it's just for us.
Oh, God. We'll talk.
need to see
We'll
this.
talk.
That's me. Hi, Val. Again, Kraken's Crown, most on GGK. Tomorrow, be running next installment of Red Jenny or Dragon Age TTRPG. Did some fun things last time involving some blood control, and most of the party is being mind controlled right now. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, be there. That's me.
I'm Van, and I'm the one member of the party who is not being blood mind controlled tomorrow. So come see me do shenanigans. You can find me on the internet at Van but Wilder. I play D&D on this channel on Sundays, and then a couple of games on GGK throughout the week. And I'm also running Dungeons and Dragons on Tuesdays, in which I have put my wonderful party, because of their teleportation mistake, into a horrible funhouse, and they're having a great time.
A great time. We're all terrified and suspicious of everything around every corner. Hi, I'm Rachel, and Rachel is about the Rachel is still in the middle of this. I am here on Sundays, dealing with fake emotional trauma because I have a wonderful father whom I love and adore. So I don't have those the kinds of daddy issues that Talon has, and I would just like to make that clear to the internet. My dad is a wonderful person. We all love Papa D. Tanya has met him. He's a great person and a great man.
We love a good
and
dad.
a great dad.
And he's my cousin.
And and Tanya and I are blood related, so she is also related to him. So just so everybody knows, my relationship with my father is excellent, and he's a great person. This has nothing to do with that. This was fully made up.
Is your dad watching the stream?
No, he's not.
Blink twice if you need help.
He wouldn't
Just
even
in
know
case.
how to load up Twitch. He's a boomer. We still love him. And I am on GGK on Tuesdays, playing that aforementioned we're in a fun house, but we shouldn't be game, where we're supposed to be doing the high level candle keep, but for some reason we're in a fun house now. Because
I didn't
sometimes
cast
magic goes wrong.
Yeah,
teleport.
blame
Sometimes magic
Waller.
goes wrong. This is all our fault. And I'm also there every other Wednesday, whenever we get back to doing our sexy space scum and villainy. And that's it.
And that leaves me. I am Alex, OMG, it's some guy on the internet, mostly just here on Sundays.
And I'm LB Hackemup. I've been your dungeon mistress for this evening, and I do have daddy issues, so but thank you guys so much for watching. The next time I'm gonna be live is tomorrow night on Indoor Adventures. We are doing our 4th edition game, where the Weird West, and my character is about to drop the nice southern attitude and about to just burn a town down for fucking with the natural order of things. After that, I'll be off because I'll be moving until Thursday night on Crit Hit Chronicles, where we are doing the Cobalt Press Tales of the Valiant game. It is a lot of fun. I play a confused monk who doesn't understand human emotions that well. He's a little bit of a sociopath, just a bit, just a little, like as a treat. He just loves hitting things. And then on Friday, Ren and I will be back. We've been, what did we play this week?
Chernobylite?
Yes, yeah. If Ren's internet will work with us, we'll do that. If not, I'm gonna get her to play Bigfoot. We're gonna play Bigfoot.
Yes. This is an excellent idea.
I'll be back on Sunday for this, where I get to be a mean dad to Rachel. Yay. But yes, I'm very excited about it. I just have to gear up to it. I can do it. I can be mean. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've gotten this far, leave a like, leave a comment. If you have gotten this far, leave a comment that's just pop a tree. I want to see that in the chat. Pop a tree. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'm LB Hackemup. Hack recklessly. Bye!